Hello gays, and welcome back to part 2 of Taylor Swift, The Life of a Showgirl, what you can expect from this album. Now, in part 1, I spoke about the visuals, the photo shoot, Travis Kelce, Sabrina Carpenter, some lyrics from the album, possible diss tracks about Olivia Rodrigo, and Charlie XCX, and some other stuff too, so feel free to check out part 1. I guess I will have that linked below. And now, picking up where we left off, we are now talking about how many songs are on the album, and if there's going to be any more songs. So there are 12 tracks. This article says, opposed to her other releases, Swift noted that The Life of a Showgirl will have only 12 songs, and no bonus tracks. So this is from the podcast with Travis Kelce and his brother, where she announced the album. With Tortured Poets Department, I was like, here's a data dump of everything I've thought, felt, loved, experienced in 2 or 3 years. Here's 31 songs. But now, when referring to The Life of a Showgirl, this is 12. There's not a 13th, 14th. There's not other ones coming. This is the record I've been wanting to make for a very long time. I also wanted it to be just every single song is on this album for hundreds of reasons. You couldn't take one out and have it be the same album. It's just right. So, it's going to be concise. Yeah, concise is the key word here. No extra tracks according to Taylor herself. 12 songs, where track 12 is the title track with Sabrina Carpenter. And we know that Taylor is a numerology girl, so she says, I wanted to do an album that was so focused on quality and on theme and on everything fitting together like a perfect puzzle that these 12 songs for my 12th album, I feel like we achieved that. And I'm really happy about that, she says. So I think for a short, big, pop, up-tempo, 12-track album, we have some other albums that we could look at as reference points here, outside of Taylor herself, because I do see this as being like very summery 1989 and Lover coded. But outside of Taylor, I'm thinking about Sour by Olivia Rodrigo, short and sweet. I think this album is going to be very influenced by Sabrina and the short and sweet era, and also Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, because Hit Me Hard and Soft came out last year, around the same time as Tortured Poets Department, and a lot of the criticism for Tortured Poets was that it's really long, and it has lots of versions that Taylor is releasing in comparison to Hit Me Hard and Soft, which is like 11 tracks, I think. Quite short, self-contained, no different versions. No deluxe, no different streaming versions, no variants. Like there might have been a couple of like CD different artworks or something like that, but for the most part, it's just one straight up album. When you go to your Spotify, your Apple Music, you only see one Sour, one Hit Me Hard and Soft. There's no other versions, and there never was. And that is quite a bold statement to make in this streaming era where you can change anything all the time and things are constantly shifting. New songs, new news cycle. It's always on to the next and getting more. But just doing a tight 12-track album like this is great, because it does mean that the quality has to be a really high bar, that this is self-sufficient to last forever with no extra tracks. So then the question becomes, is this true? Is she going to stick to it and have just 12 songs and nothing else? No extra tracks. This is where the conversation gets very sticky. And where the variants come in as well. I wanted to start off by looking at what hardcore Swifties think, because I'm not. a hardcore Swiftie. I don't look for Easter eggs and all of that. And there is a mixed reception, but it does seem like fans genuinely are taking her word for it. That if she says there's 12 tracks, then there's only 12 tracks. But I'm also thinking with the amount that Taylor writes and records, there are more tracks out there that she will have other plans for. If they're not on this album, then she's probably saving them for the next one. Like, ideas are always fermenting in her brain. So this Showgirl theme, I don't think this is the last that we see of it. There could be a part 2, something coming out pretty soon, like a year's time maybe. We could get another album that picks up where this one left off, with or without Max Martin. But that is my theory. I do think there will be another original album after this one that is also like got some of this fun Showgirl elements, and then maybe her debut album after that, or Reputation, something like that. So yeah, what about her other projects, right? Well, recently when she bought her masters back, she released this letter to her website. Here is a paragraph that mentions Reputation TV, or Puta, as we call it. I haven't even re-recorded a quarter of it, she says, because it's so specific to that time in her life. She kept hitting a wall when she tried to remake it, because she's not in defense anymore. Now she is loved and she feels loved. She doesn't feel like society or the music industry are against her. But she says there will be a time, if you're into the idea, for the unreleased vault tracks from that album to hatch. And I think this is going to come around again. Not soon, but down the line for sure. The fact that she's willing to write it in this public statement means she is prepared to keep her word and do a vault track, EP, mini album kind of situation. I'm curious to see what becomes of that. There's no clear answer as to how or why or whether Max has been involved in a Reputation re-recording. He does not seem to have been a part of Red or 1989, and I would say both of those TVs have suffered for it, in my opinion. If he wasn't back for them, I don't think he would want to recreate Reputation either. But also, we don't need it now because she has bought her albums back, so Reputation is not stolen. It's just her reputation now. She doesn't need to re-record it to devalue the original. But I guess she could re-release it together with the original down the line. Just the original plus vault tracks with bits of old and bits of new together. That sounds like a good idea, and I'm sure she will. But not anytime soon. Yeah, in terms of Reputation, Taylor's version, probably cancelled for good, because that has some very intricate electronic production that Max and Shellback can't recreate, because it's just really hard to remember what every synth was, how to get the instrument that makes it, like every single detail. Like you need to get the right microphone to re-record with, be in a very similar recording booth to get the same acoustics. There's so much that goes into it, and for an album like Reputation that is not composed with a band with like piano and guitar and such, even more so, because if you have a different kick and snare, you will hear the difference quite clearly. Like the magic is different, especially if you have freaking Jack Antonoff producing the whole thing and putting trumpets in it, him and his damn trumpets. Yeah. So that's my little rant on Reputation. Reputation TV, scrapped. It can't happen. Jack Antonoff cannot make all that electronic production. That's not what he does. And, that's not even... I don't say that to disrespect him. Like, it would just be impossible to redo that. And of course, he does a great job on Getaway Car and the tracks that he was a part of. But he's not Max. He's not Max Martin. He's not Shellback. And like, in my opinion, those pop bangers on Red and 1989, the re-records were not good. Like, the style instrumental just sounds really jagged, like it's missing the rhythm in style especially, and then the vocals on I Knew You Were Trouble and We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, like it just wasn't hitting in my opinion. I know a lot of Swifties love it and good for you, but I don't think her pop hit songs were done justice with re-recordings. So re-recording Reputation was always going to be a massive challenge. I did just want to mention Self-Titled as well. That's done. She says it's done, and she's probably even got the cover of Taylor Swift's album. So I'm sure that will come in the next 2 to 3 years once this part of Showgirl era is done. After this Showgirl album, then maybe a second Showgirl album and a tour. Then it'll come after that. Because if she did do a second album soon, it could possibly come out in the middle of a tour like she did with Tortured Poets, because that resets the tour in a way. It brings a lot of new interest to it, gives her new songs to perform, makes the show feel different for the viewers as well, right? Next question. Will there be a pre-release single? A lead single like how Shake It Off came out before 1989? Me came out before Lover. Is there going to be a big single like that? Taylor seems to be very against singles these days, but since she is back with Max and doing the whole pop star thing, I think there is a chance. I'd say about 50% chance of getting a lead single, because it's a no-brainer. Anything she drops now, instant #1. Instant millions of copies sold. So why not just freaking do it, Taylor? Just give us a single and a music video, you know? Like, we just want a single. Give it to us, Taylor. But 50% chance, as I said. If she doesn't drop a song, then it's going to be out on album release day, like she did with Cardigan, Willow, Fortnite, I think, was the same. Yeah, if she was smart, she would go back to getting a pre-release single. But she's a bit stubborn in that way, so we shall see. And then will there be post-release singles like Blank Space, Wildest Dreams, Endgame, Delicate? It's not looking good. If there is a post-release single, it's going to be from the sheer strength of the song by itself without label involvement, like Cruel Summer. Taylor did not, well, back in the day she wanted Cruel Summer as a single, but when Cruel Summer came back around for the Eras tour, she did nothing for that until it was already a top 10 smash. And that is the level of fan push and demand that it will take for her to do a second single, unfortunately. That is my understanding of it. I could be wrong. I would love if, like, she had a special idea for a music video that she had to do for a second song. I guess like she did for Bejeweled. That would be great, but I'm not gonna hold my breath here. It's hard to believe she could go back to like 4 or 5 singles like what she did in 1989 and what Sabrina did with Short and Sweet. Like, Taylor just doesn't move like that anymore. She shows more restraint and she makes weird. She likes to do half singles now. So like, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, that was an official single, but the music video is not really a music video, it's just a tour clip. And the playlisting and promotion of that song was a bit all over the place. Like, there were no official performances, I don't think. And she didn't do much with anything in the 2020s. Like, Cardigan was the single, then Exile was like a half single, August like a half single because it was so popular. Then Evermore, she did actually make No Body, No Crime a single for country radio. So I would again call that a half single because it wasn't promoted and there was no video. A lot of fans are probably not aware that it's technically a single. So yeah, we may get another weird half single after the album. So to sum up, chance of a pre-release single about 50%. Chance of a single when the album drops, 100%. There will be a single and a music video like she always does. And then chance of a post-release single, unlikely, very unlikely that she would do it herself. But there is a chance that just due to public demand, we will choose a song that we really like and we will stream it so much that it becomes a single. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully that happens 2 or 3 times. So then what about album variants? Now, if you don't know, a variant is a very loose term. It just means a variation of the standard album. So there's the standard album, maybe there's a deluxe that comes out at the same time or further down the line. That is a variant of the album. So variants could just be a CD or vinyl with a different cover, like what she has right now. It could be a bonus song, like what she did in Tortured Poets. Before it came out, she had variants with the Albatross, the Black Dog, and the Bolter. Those were like special editions of Tortured Poets Department. Then there's a whole deluxe edition, which is kind of what the anthology is, because it's connected to the original album together. Or like, there's so many deluxes. You know what a deluxe is. But like now, there's different ways that we do deluxes because of streaming. So deluxes are delayed for like 6 months to a year to get more life in the era and to get a new big single. So Ariana did that with Eternal Sunshine Deluxe, Sabrina Short and Sweet Deluxe, etc. That is a variant which can be digital, like on iTunes, on streaming, or digital for purchase from Taylor's website where you just get MP3 files, or physical, a deluxe that comes with a CD or a vinyl that you can buy, or a tape. Some people buy tapes. I'm telling you this because you want to know, is there going to be variants, right? Well, rules have changed in the music business, and that is going to dictate how Taylor is moving. Now, you know that last era in Tortured Poets, Taylor released more variants than the Marvel Universe, and she did get some flack for that. So she's going to cut back on the variants because she's very aware of public criticism. You can already see that she's pivoted by releasing these bright, up-tempo, fun songs and a short album instead of a 31 track, because this is what people were asking for with these big hit songs with Max Martin. So because of that, there's probably going to be less variants. Though, regarding the backlash, I personally don't care, because she's not forcing anyone to buy these. Why does it concern you if she releases the Tortured Poets with an acoustic mashup of Is It Over Now and Out of the Woods? So she released a bonus version with that track as the bonus track that you could download online, but you have to buy the whole album to get the track. And so that makes her do better on the charts, essentially. That's what the strategy was. And why are people angry about that? No one is forcing her fans to buy these albums. And they actually made up a very small portion of sales of the Tortured Poets department. So yeah, that's where the public narrative comes into it, where we're all going to have different ideas of what Taylor is doing and what the reality is because of public narrative and what we're seeing in our different corners of the internet. But yeah, she releases 1 billion variants. Why should that concern anyone? Just, you don't have to buy them. Anyway, As I've said, Taylor has done all of the type of variants before. She's done regional exclusives like a Japanese edition. She's done standard deluxes, or like standard edition, deluxe edition, then the later deluxe release, remixes, digital versions and physical variants, covers, different names, different deluxe tracks. She has done the whole gambit here. So I am sure that she's going to do some of this again. But in order to answer about variants, I have to turn these into more specific questions. So, will there be physical variants with new artworks? Yes, because she has already announced them. You can see that you can buy different CD and vinyl with different covers. Will there be physical or digital variants with brand new songs? No, because she has told us there's only 12 tracks, so we are not going to get like a Showgirl 3 a.m. edition with a bunch of new songs, or Showgirl the Anthology, because she has said this is it, just 12 songs, so there are not going to be any more original songs, just 12. But could there be a new variant with acoustic versions or remixes? Yes, there definitely could be. So we need to talk about these rules that came into place in 2025 for the Billboard 200. Digital albums sold via an artist, label, or other official web store must now be redeemed in order to be chart eligible. So when a fan buys Torture Poets Department with But Daddy I Love Him acoustic bonus track, that sale only counts for the charts if they redeem the album and download it. That's fine, it's not a big deal, not going to affect Taylor. Fixed pricing minimums. Minimum price for all D2C exclusive digital albums has been raised to $7.99. That's fine, not a big deal as well. Swifties have money, Taylor has money. Because of how crazy her level of demand is and how much people love her albums, a little price bump is not going to stop her from selling more variants. By the way, this is from AmericanSongwriter.com. How Billboard aims to stop chart manipulation with new rules. That's the article name, I think. But the key point here, only 4 digital exclusive versions will be allowed for the life of an album. Includes deluxe versions. Digital exclusive versions cannot be put up for sale during the middle of the first week. Either need to be available for pre-order or held for a later week of release. This is where it gets interesting for Taylor. So she can only release 4 digital versions for the life of an album, including deluxe. So that means she cannot go on her website and do Life of a Showgirl with 1 acoustic bonus track. She cannot do Life of a Showgirl, a different bonus track, Life of a Showgirl voice memo, Life of a Showgirl 1 remix, 1 a cappella. She can only do 4 total for the whole era for how it's counted for Billboard. So that's going to put a stop to a lot of these variants that she had before. She can only do 4 digital versions. Now she could still do physical variants. She is allowed to do Life of a Showgirl with acoustic bonus track if it's a CD or a vinyl. Her and her team will be considering some of that, whether it's worth it to prepare some of these bonus Showgirl albums with acoustics and such that have to be manufactured, but that needs a lot of planning in advance because she has to reserve her time at the CD and vinyl manufacturing places. And it also has to be a minimum number of stock that they are printing. Let's say they do a bonus version with just 1 extra track, a very gimmicky bonus version. How many copies would they want to make of that they could reasonably sell? I don't think they would do more than 100,000. That's quite a lot if you think about there being lots of different versions. I think it could even be less. I think she could do like 10 to 20,000 would be more realistic for each gimmicky variant that she wants to do, because she has to physically make these and sell them. She can't just chuck it on the website and have it be a digital sale. So it complicates things for her. She could do some physical variants, more than 4. That's an option for her down the line. But because of digital, I'm hoping it clears the picture up a bit. So it means digitally she can only do 4 variants. So I think she has 2 options here, because we already know that there's no deluxe, right? Because there's no other songs that are coming. So if she does different versions, it has to be existing songs, as a voice memo, a demo, an acoustic version, a live recording, something of that nature, right? So that will be the bonus track or bonus tracks of this digital version. But she's only allowed 4 digital variants like this. So I think the most likely outcome is she will release 4 variants, 4 digital variants in a close time frame, like all of them within 1 to 3 months. And they are all going to focus on a different track, a different idea. That's what she likes to do, right? Like the Albatross version, the Opalite version, the Sunny and Happy Dancing in the Rain version, Sad Girl Autumn version, right? So she could do Life of a Showgirl bonus Opalite version, and it has Opalite demo, Opalite voice memo, Opalite acoustic, something like that. And then another variant, which is Father Figure version. Showgirl Father Figure with bonus track, Father Figure instrumental, Father Figure voice memo, Father Figure acoustic. She can only do 4 different variants like that on digital. So you could get 4 versions that are just dedicated to a few tracks like this, concept forward, or she could kind of mix the tracks up and do a whole album that is just voice memos, like The Life of a Showgirl Voice Memo Edition, where there's a voice memo for every single track on this deluxe bonus version. Then do Life of a Showgirl demos and have all of the demos together on one variant. Then Life of a Showgirl acoustic, have all of the acoustic versions together on one version of the album. So she's got 2 different paths she could take here. Do like the Opalite version, Father Figure version, take that path, or do demo version, voice memo version, acoustic version, like that. It's how she decides to group and package these extra tracks, right? That's what it comes down to. I'll put a visual with this so that it's easier to understand anyway. Now, what do I think she is most likely to do? Well, using these new Billboard rules, we can make some deductions here. So they do not allow digital exclusives in the first week because they're only allowed to be near the end of the week. And in Taylor's first week, she's selling a bajillion copies. She doesn't need any extra boost or help. So first week, there will not be any digital exclusive. But she can put them up for pre-order whenever she wants. Usually she likes to wait for 4 to 6 weeks until the album hype has cooled off a bit. Then when the album is about to drop to number 2 or number 3 on the official chart, then she'll pull out a variant because that little boost is enough to get her back to number 1. She did that for Folklore, and she also does it in the UK, not just in America. But as I've said, these rules only apply to digital albums. Physicals, she can do whatever she wants, but Billboard has banned her from these digital variants with acoustic bonus tracks, like what she did for Tortured Poets Department. once again, I want to think of our reference points here for how she's handling this era. So I think albums that she is keeping in mind and aspiring to are Short and Sweet, Sour, and Hit Me Hard and Soft, because these albums were extremely successful commercially and they're short, concise, they have one version. Short and Sweet is the exception here, where it does have a deluxe and I guess a couple of versions, but for the sake of this argument, it still applies because the core album has sold the most and is the most successful, and is literally called Short and Sweet. She wants The Life of a Showgirl to also be short and sweet, right? So because of that, she's going to cut back on the variants, because having a bajillion random bonus tracks is not short and sweet. It doesn't make the album only 12 tracks, as she has very clearly stated. But there will be something. There's going to be a couple of remixes, single versions, acoustics, whatever it is. There's going to be some of it. Only 4 digitals total allowed. Physicals, we shall see. I think aside from the covers that we have now, which is how many? There's standard and 3 different covers that you can buy. 4 versions total to purchase right now. Aside from those, I think she will do anything from 4 to 10 different physical editions down the line. It could just be the same 12 tracks with a different artwork, like that picture with all the pink feathers, because that's such a great picture. And then the other one where she's doing that awesome pose, like she's got wings. Those could be potential album covers down the line with just the same 12 tracks and nothing else. Yeah, there will be variants to some extent. It's just going to be less crazy than it was with Tortured Poets. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about the commercial expectations of this album. First week sales, well, she's been knocking that out of the park pretty consistently. I think it's realistic for her to do 1 million copies just in the US in the first week, because she's done that many times now. She did that with Red. She did that with 1989, I think, and Tortured Poets. She's done it with other albums too, I'm pretty sure. So I think 1 million, she can achieve that first week. But what I'm more interested is how we can put this into perspective with her other albums and these reference albums that I have. Sour, Hit Me Hard and Soft, and Short and Sweet. So if we look at these global Spotify streams here, we see Sour is in the lead with 15 billion. That's because it's the oldest, along with Lover, which has 13 billion. Short and Sweet, I'm using the standard version, not the deluxe, 7.6 billion. Hit Me Hard and Soft, 8 billion. Midnight's standard version, 8.8 billion. 1989 TV Taylor's version deluxe, 5.5 billion for that. I thought I would throw that in there just because I do see this era as kind of picking up where 1989 left off, like this big blockbuster summary album. And 1989 itself was not actually that long. Like it was 16 tracks for the deluxe, which is very normal. It's nothing like the Tortured Poets 31 track extravaganza. And then in terms of physical sales, so physical sales is kind of hard to measure. I wanted to get worldwide figures, but it's only guessing games with that. Like it's very rare that they report worldwide sales figures. So I'm just focusing on the US instead. Once again, these numbers are not fully accurate because we only find out these numbers when they choose to update and report them. So some of them are very out of date. Like Lover has obviously done more than 3 million copies, but I don't have an official source that says it's done more than 3 million, so I have to write it as 3 million here. But I wanted to look at these figures to see where are we expecting The Life of a Showgirl to lead. Definitely on track for Diamond in the US. That's 10 million copies, because all of these albums are well on track to Diamond. I guess Short and Sweet and Hit Me Hard and Soft are going to take a while because it's coming mostly from streaming and not physical copies. Sour is just massive, and 4 million figure for Sour, I don't think it's fully accurate for where Sour is at now. With its streaming and because it's such a classic album that's going to keep selling forever, it's definitely going to reach Diamond in the US at some stage. 10 million copies. And then what about Life of a Showgirl, right? So I think long-term Diamond, short-term 4 to 8 million range. Definitely going to get very easily to 3 million in the first 1 to 2 years of release. Especially because it's going to have these catchy pop songs that are going to be played in the supermarket and at sporting events, stuff like that. Like, with the nature of the music that she has chosen, it promotes and sells itself. It's so different to the Tortured Poets, which is like these very sad, moody, angsty piano songs that the market for them is much smaller and it's more difficult to play them in public because they're a downer. But I'm expecting Life of a Showgirl to be very commercially successful. Streaming, Spotify, it's going to break 1 billion probably first week because that is what Tortured Poets did. Now, Tortured Poets had 30 tracks where this has 12. So it's going to struggle in that aspect, but the Swifties are very driven. They will do what needs to be done. And the music is going to be good, right? It's going to be bangers. I think we can get it to 1 billion. If not, definitely 850 million. Any less than 850 million, I would be a bit concerned that the album is not resonating with the public as it should. But long term, anywhere in the spectrum of this, I guess 15 billion like Sour is a very long way off, and the streaming industry is changing. It seems to have actually declined a bit. Every year was getting bigger, and I think 2024, 2025 was the first time to experience a slight decline in streaming figures. So what that means for Taylor, we don't know yet. I think if we look at the newer albums like Short and Sweet, Hit Me Hard and Soft, I do think she can achieve what they have. So they're within 1 to 2 years, they are at 7-8 billion. She can get there for sure. I guess that's all I can say, really. I would love to see her do even bigger, and she definitely has the power to, so that would put her in the 9 to 10 billion range. I'd say by the third year of release, it should be approaching 9 to 10 billion, but it also depends on what she does, like if she has any big controversies, or if she releases an album that people don't like, that is going to diminish her streaming power a bit. Or if she releases a part 2 of this Showgirl that people really love, then they're going to stream the first part even more like crazy. And that will boost her streaming numbers and her physical sales as well. But sales for the first 2 to 3 years, yeah, definitely 3 million in the US. She can reach that pretty easily. Globally, I guess double that, so 6 million. Also depends how globally receptive she is with this album. And that depends on the sound of it. And if it's very wordy, lyric heavy, intricate, then that could be a barrier for the global audience. But most likely it's going to be a big streaming hit, big commercial hit overall. Billions of streams, millions of copies. Yeah. And that is it. If you have anything else about this album that you would like to know, feel free to ask. I think I've covered things very thoroughly. And thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Bye bye.